The 2021 F1 Championship has been one of the most nerve-wracking tournaments in recent years. This breakthrough star of the year has been 22-year-old Max Verstappen, the top-ranked racer in the F1 right now. Directly below him is Lewis Hamilton, who's looking to win his 5th consecutive title. Let's take a look at which of these men is really going to win the championship. The rankings right now. After the 2021 Qatar Grand Prix, which saw Lewis Hamilton win and earn 25 points, he lessened the gap between him and the number 1 ranked driver, Max Verstappen, who came second. Overall, Max Verstappen had 351.5 points by the end of the race, and Lewis Hamilton was 8 points behind him with 343.5 points. This is a razor-thin margin. Instead of earning 18 points for finishing second at the Qatar GP, Verstappen received 19 points. The bonus point was for having the fastest lap of the race. When the margin is this small, that 1 point could even be the deciding factor of the tournament. With the next race happening at the first ever Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the fastest lap point is something that we need to pay close attention to. Max Verstappen this season. Max Verstappen has been nothing short of unstoppable throughout the 2021 Formula One season. The 22-year-old Dutchman racing for Red Bull had a total of 10 F1 wins prior to the season, and the highest position he reached in the championship rankings was at 3rd place. Keep in mind, Max was a teenager for most of this, and he was actually the youngest person ever to win a Grand Prix race. He finished second at the first race of the tournament in Bahrain, earning 18 points. He got his first win of the season at the following race in Italy, earning 25 points. This was followed by 2 runner-up performances at the Portuguese and Spanish Grand Prix, before getting another win at the Monaco Grand Prix. He then got 3 back-to-back victories at the French, Styrian, and Austrian Grand Prix, bringing the total number of wins to 5, placing him at the top of the leaderboard. At the Austrian Grand Prix, he became the youngest racer ever to score a Grand Slam in Formula One, which is when a racer starts at pole position, leads every single lap, and gets the fastest lap of the race. He was the first racer since Lewis Hamilton to do so. In the following race at the Great Britain Grand Prix, Max got into a collision with Lewis Hamilton, leading to Verstappen retiring from the race that Hamilton would go on to win, intensifying their rivalry. At the Hungarian Grand Prix that followed it, Verstappen got into a collision during the first lap, but ended up finishing the race in 8th place, losing his overall lead to Hamilton, who is now the top-ranked racer of the tournament. He quickly regained his lead through back-to-back victories at the Belgian and Dutch Grand Prix. Being a Belgian Dutchman himself, it was a home ground advantage. At the Italian Grand Prix that followed, Verstappen got into another collision with Hamilton, leading to both men being retired from the race. Verstappen was found at fault, and he was given a 3-place grid penalty for the following race and 2 penalty points on his super license. At Sochi, Verstappen started from the back of the grid as he had exceeded his quota of power unit components. But he still managed to have an amazing showing, finishing in 2nd place. After another runner-up performance at the Turkish Grand Prix, he had back-to-back victories in USA and Mexico, followed by back-to-back runner-up placements in Sao Paulo and Qatar. Lewis Hamilton this season. In contrast, while Hamilton has had an incredible season thus far as well, he seems to have been overshadowed by his newfound rival on more than a few occasions. He started the year off with a bang. He won the Bahrain Grand Prix, had a 2nd place showing at the 2021 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, before getting back-to-back victories at the Portuguese and Spanish Grand Prix. He didn't do too well at the Monaco Grand Prix, placing 7th. He did, however, gain an extra point for the fastest lap of the race. The Azerbaijani Grand Prix saw Hamilton get his worst placement, minus all the retirements since 2012, finishing the race in 17th place. Ironically, it was still better than Verstappen, who retired from the race. He was runner-up for the following 2 races in France and Styria, and he got a disappointing 4th place in Austria. But he came back with a bang in Britain, his home turf, winning the race with ease. He was the runner-up in Hungary, third place in Belgium, and the runner-up once again in the Dutch Grand Prix. He retired from the Italian Grand Prix, as we've already mentioned, along with Verstappen, but managed to win the Russian Grand Prix that followed. There was then a disappointing fifth-place finish in Turkey, followed by 2 second-place finishes in the USA and Mexico. By now, Hamilton was 19 points behind Verstappen, but he managed to have that by 2 back-to-back victories in Sao Paulo and Qatar. Ways Verstappen and Hamilton can win. With an 8-point gap and 2 races remaining, things are tense between the two racers. Assuming that Lewis Hamilton is the runner-up, if Verstappen wins the next race in Saudi Arabia, he would be at least 14 points ahead of Verstappen. For Hamilton to still have a chance in that case, he would need to win the final race in Abu Dhabi, while also making sure that Verstappen does not place higher than 5th place, something Verstappen has only done 4 times out of the last 20. If Verstappen wins Saudi Arabia and Hamilton does not place within the top 5, there is no way for Hamilton to win. However, if Hamilton continues his winning streak and wins the Saudi Grand Prix, he would only be 1 point behind Verstappen if Verstappen is the runner-up. This seems to be the most likely scenario if we follow the pattern of the last few races. If that is the case, then the winner would be decided by whoever places higher during the final race in Abu Dhabi. In a less likely scenario, if Hamilton wins the Saudi Grand Prix and Verstappen doesn't earn any points for the race, which can happen if Verstappen has an incident on the racing track, Hamilton would be 17 points ahead of Verstappen, which means that in order for Verstappen to win, he would need to win the Qatar Grand Prix while making sure Hamilton doesn't reach a position higher than 7th place, which is something that has happened before. Keep in mind that in each race, the racer with the fastest lap gets an extra point. If either racer manages to get an extra point, they could turn the whole tournament around. Who's going to win? If we follow the pattern of recent wins, Hamilton has a very high chance of taking the championship this season as well. While neither racer has won the Saudi Grand Prix since it's the first edition, there isn't really a standard to follow for it. But we already know how well Hamilton performs in unknown territory. On top of that, Hamilton is the undisputed king of Abu Dhabi, other than, the actual king of Abu Dhabi. He has won all but 3 of the Grand Prix held in Abu Dhabi since he started racing, with 5 wins in total. Verstappen might be in trouble if this pattern continues. If you follow the tournament and the odds advantage both racers have over the other, then Verstappen can easily win the tournament. After all, he's already been in the lead, so even if he doesn't win the next race, he can easily bag a win at Abu Dhabi and take the whole thing home. But it's a lot easier said than done, especially when you factor in Hamilton's past performance in Abu Dhabi. A bad result, or even second place in Saudi Arabia, would be disastrous for Verstappen, since we already know how well Hamilton performs in Saudi. Overall, things seem to be more in Hamilton's favor rather than Verstappen's, but you simply can't count out Verstappen, as he's proven himself more than a few times in the past year. If the final points tally ends with a tie, which is also a possibility considering how close they are, whichever racer has the most wins in the tournament will win the championship overall. So far, Hamilton has had 7 wins, while Verstappen has had 9. A tie would be virtually impossible if either racer wins both races, and it would only be possible if Hamilton wins Saudi Arabia, but neither man wins Qatar, or if they end up losing both races. This is why, in case of a tie, Verstappen would definitely win the championship. That's a wrap for Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton. Which of these racers do you think will take home the title this year? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.